Tansei, welcome to Métis Minute, your source for Métis news in Region 7. Welcome back to Métis Minute. I am your host, Samantha Loney. As you may have seen from a previous Métis Minute, we covered Penetanguishene's City Council and we gave you a little snippet of the history of Métis people on Georgian Bay. The reason we wanted to provide you with that history and a little bit about modern day Penetanguishene is because there is a huge Métis population that lives on Georgian Bay. Penetanguishene Centennial Museum recently opened their exhibit called The Gifts of Georgian Bay, a Métis appreciation of water and earth. We were able to attend this exhibit over the Indigenous Peoples Day long weekend. We were overwhelmed by everyone's appreciation and love for their Métis historic community, Georgian Bay. Tons of artists showed up to share their appreciation of the water with various interpretations of Georgian Bay in beautiful paintings, quilts, and even sculptures. We wanted to share footage of the opening reception for the exhibit where curator Laura Lee Kearns was able to express to us why this exhibit is important not only to Penetanguishene, but Métis people across the region.
My name is Nicole Jackson and I'm the curator here at the Penetanguishene Centennial Museum. Before we begin our formal presentation, I would like to read you the land acknowledgement for the town of Penetanguishene, which we do in front of any formal setting we have. Penetanguishene respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional and treaty territory of the Anishinaabe people and their ancestors, now known as the Williams Treaties First Nations territory. This includes Chippewa Tribe Council, comprised of Beausoleil First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgian Island First Nation, Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, and Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. Also, once the home of the Huron-Wendat, and more recently the historic settlement of the Métis, Penetanguishene is now home to many Indigenous peoples. Penetanguishene is proud of its Indigenous name, and more importantly, that for thousands of years it has been and will continue to be an important homeland and gathering place for Indigenous people. We recognize that we are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters and are responsible to ensure that our mother, the earth, is here for future generations. So as I say, I am the curator here at the Penetanguishene Centennial Museum. We try to bring in as many different exhibits as possible, representing the different cultures that we have in Penetanguishene. It's very important, as I am of a settler family, that when I am bringing in any kind of Indigenous culture, that I would like to work with someone within that community. And that's why I sort of formed a relationship with Laura Lee over the many years. We did an exhibit here 2 years ago, and through that exhibit, we actually thought of something for this summer. And so I do want to introduce Laura Lee Belmer Kearns, and she can take over the presentation now. All right, thanks,
to Miigwech, to Nicole. She's been a really strong and passionate advocate of Drummond Island history, of Métis history, of French history in this area. And as she said, 2 years ago, we were able to do Connecting with Our Ancestors, a photo voice project on returning to Drummond Island. So it's almost been 200 years since relocation, and we're still here. And some of us got the opportunity to do the biggest trip back together in 2019 before COVID hit. And so we talked about that experience. So like a lot of Métis people, our stories start with our families and expand to the community. So in terms of my own family, on the Métis side, so I'm very grateful to go through the Bellemere line, and then also the Marchidon, and then the Duke line. And Tamanagik came from Drummond Island. And then also I have to acknowledge too, that interconnection, and the French and Irish side of my family and Scottish that are still here today and make Georgian Bay their home. So very grateful for the Dows and the Kearnses, and so that we all share this love and passion for the Bay, and also share this love and passion and appreciation for the art. So my mother, Claire Benjamin Kearns, taught us, her three daughters, who we all have kind of paintings or photographs or beadwork in the show. So myself, Laura Lee, my sister Colleen, and my other sister Suzette, who we can see some of her beadwork here too. So we're all in the show, as well as my mom's granddaughter, so my daughter Madeline, who was sure to say, "Mom, the Georgian Bay is just so beautiful, you know, you've got to show the beauty of it." And so she is not here today, but she has some photos of beautiful pink clouds, because that's her favorite color. And also she took a little picture of her brother on one of those days where it's tropical. It's just like the Bahamas, Mom. We're so lucky. So anyway, so it was really nice to get her grade 11 student perspective, and also very nice just in the back kind of like display. Her two little paintings with the pink clouds. Just above that is my cousin Andre Weigar, who passed away last year. She was a photographer and wanted to open up her own studio, and didn't have the chance to do that, but she's gifted us her cameras, and so that will continue through the generations too. So I'm just very, very grateful for all the art and all the wonderful people who responded to the call, an open call for art. And I don't know of any other place where I've seen so much Métis art together in one space. So I'm so grateful to all the incredible artists who contributed to this beautiful show. And I think just being in this room, I feel this love and passion and appreciation for the Bay. And so I think there's a lot to celebrate here. So in my past life, my current life, I'm a professor. In my past life, I was a teacher, and I feel like I better go through the roll call here, and hopefully I won't miss anyone. So again, thank you so much for being here tonight, and for hopefully sharing this love and appreciation of the beautiful water, such a beautiful gift of life and sustenance and nourishment, and it's so good to be around the water for our hearts and our spirits, our bodies, and certainly just so grateful tonight to see so many faces, and I'm looking forward to hearing some stories about the art. Some of the artists are here with us tonight and have agreed to say a little something about their art. Others send their regrets because in addition to being artists, they are also working full-time and maybe can't be here, so I'll try to fill in a little bit as well with that. So first, I would like to introduce Patty Bélanger. It's great that she's actually alphabetically works kind of is at the top of the list, because she also brings greetings from the Art Association here that she is kind of stewarding and championing, so that's great. And you will see Patty has contributed 3 beautiful, beautiful paintings there that really capture this celestial feeling of the Bay and the magic of the Bay, and those beautiful skies and the wind, and just kind of those cosmic kind of events that happen sometimes. And also in the one in the center, that beautiful Métis beadwork, kind of capturing that tradition as well. So just a beautiful, beautiful artist. Those colors just like sing to my soul. So I'm very grateful for Patty to contributing. And so Patty, do you want to say a little something about your work?
Sure.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, okay.
So, first of all, it's an honor to be here. Thank you very much for coming out and celebrating our Métis heritage and our art for this beautiful place we call Georgian Bay. And so, also, a special thank you to the artists who contributed, because without your art, we wouldn't have awakening our spirit, like the Kushkapayu says. And so, the Council of the Kushkapayu Métis Art Council is also very proud of you. So, just keep in mind, it's an up-and-coming council. It's for all Ontario Métis artists, and so please keep in touch with that. We'll be having a Facebook page out soon, and so just keep in touch with us, because there's lots of things coming up. So, and if you need to get a hold of me, you can, and I'd be happy to share all that information. So I'm also excited to share my art. I'm also a beader, so when I do the pointillism in my art, it sort of reflects beadwork in a way, and it makes it more, I don't know, lively and, you know, textured and all that stuff. So that's why I use it. And anyways, it's really nice to reflect the beauty of the bay and bring awareness to, you know, taking care of our beautiful home at the Georgian Bay. So that's everything I have to say.
Then we also have Heather Berwick, who contributed the beautiful bowls at the back. So they're made out of mahogany. And unfortunately, Heather is working. But I do have to say thanks so much to Greg Garrett, who's here, who is former president of the Metis Council in the area, but is now, he's got a super big job now with the PCMNO. What's the title, Greg?
Region 7 PCMNO rep.
There you go, the Region 7 PCMNO rep. So he is really doing great work, but also he just connects so many Métis. So it was the day before the open call would close, and so we happened to drop by his garage, and he had this beautiful tobacco that he was giving out to community members. So him and his wife Heather, who's the women's rep here, you know, they were waiting for people, and in between that I met Heather's husband, so he said, oh yeah, I'll get Heather to contribute something. And then also another beautiful bead artist by the name of Vicki Jenkins, who also has some beautiful display. There's trees, there's beautiful birds, like it's just so lively and colorful. So she'll also be around for the annual General Assembly of the Métis in August, which is the 15th, 16th, and 17th, where many of our artists will have displays and perhaps be selling some of their wares as well. So yeah, very thankful for Greg for introducing me to Heather and giving me Vicky's phone number and getting our last two beautiful contributors to the exhibit there. So thanks, and from our hearts to yours, thank you. So thanks. And now I have the honor and privilege of introducing Teresa Defrenial Fema. Because, I don't know, Teresa, if you want to stand up? Okay. Anyway, this is Teresa, everyone, and I feel like she's just one of those wonderful people, like she's like your family friend or something. So she said, oh yeah, not only will I contribute to the art show, but oh, why don't you come over, you know, to Coldwater and to my house, and I'll tell you the story. And so my mom and I went over to her house, and we thought, okay, we're going to go see some quilts, but wow, quilt after quilt. So the quilts started in the family. Her mother did it, and it's just recently that she's taken it up, and she is into quilt stories. Her quilt stories have led to a beautiful book called Quilted Memoirs, and you can see 3 of her examples right there. You might recognize some of those places in terms of the Thunder Beach series and just the beautiful waters of Georgian Bay. But just hearts full with the beautiful stories, and her childhood stories are incredible. And anyway, over to you, Teresa.
I told my story. I don't even know where to start. Laura said my mom was a quilter, both my grandmothers were quilters, and my aunts, everybody was a quilter. I didn't quilt very much when I was little. I started later in life. It was actually started after my mom passed away, because we had all her leftover fabrics and quilts that were started but not finished. And one of my other sisters, Yvonne, we all shared the fabric, but 2 of us actually took up quilting. And we just fell in love. It had to be finished, what was started, right? And that's how it got started. And I started with traditional quilts. In 2020, the end of 2020, I saw a story quilt online. This lady made a story quilt of her aunt, and the journey her aunt had taken, and I'm like, wow, I've never seen one of those. I want to learn how to make a story quilt, because I want to make a story quilt of my childhood home. I grew up in Thunder Bay Beach, which is really close to me, as you all probably know. We were one of the poorest families down there. We were very poor, but we were so rich, because we had the best playground any child or adult could ever dream of having. Literally. So the memories inspired me to make a story quilt of my home. So I made a full-size quilt of all memories of Thunder Bay Beach during the summer. And after showing that quilt to a lot of people, people started saying, you should write a book. You should write a book. Why don't you write a book? So I said to my husband one morning, I said, oh, do you think I should write a book? And he said, why not? Give it a shot. So I did. And I launched it last summer in Thunder Beach, and great success. So this past winter, I started making a winter scenery of the memories that I had as a child as well. And then somebody said to me, you need to start making smaller quilts, right? So that's when I started with the small wall-size art quilts. And there I make all different sizes. Probably 3 weeks ago maybe, my daughter, who's right here, Angelina, actually said to me, you know they're having an art show at the museum in Penetanguishene, you know, you might want to consider contacting them, which I did. I mean, I contacted Laura Lee, and I had the 2 small ones were already made, and I have others that are already made. And she said that the theme was Georgian Bay, land and water. And I thought, okay, so I need a special one just for it. So I have a picture on the front cover of my book of an aerial scene, which is actually that picture, but it's not a morning scene. It's just an aerial scene, but it's exactly that. And I thought, there we see Thunder Bay, we see Georgian Bay, we see the land, and we see the water. So I made this quilt specifically for the show. At the AGA, I will have all my quilts. Well, for sure I will have the 2 big ones. George said I might have room for the small ones. He said bring the small ones. But these 3 will stay here for the summer. So.
It's such a beautiful technique that Teresa uses. She actually paints. She uses these ink pencils, and then she uses like a medium. She tried water, but she uses aloe vera. So that's actually painted and then quilted. So
yeah, it just starts as a white piece of fabric.
Yeah, white piece of fabric is painted and then quilted. So just beautiful work. And then we have the wonderful work of Monica Ironside, who is a self-taught, inspirational artist who does beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work of the rocks and the trees of Georgian Bay, and is just so inspired by being blessed by, you know, the blue water and just that beauty of the landscape. So Monica is here, so I'm hoping she can say something.
Well, I don't know if I can keep up to these beautiful speakers. I'm kind of shy, right?
And if people don't know Monica's work or didn't get a chance to see it, it's these 2, and then there's one in the back over there. So just those beautiful little bands. So
I'm so honored to be here as a Métis artist, my mother, my grandmother, and our relatives coming from Grumman Island, we were all raised here, and the water and the white pines just are home to me. And my paintbrush loves to paint those again and again and again. I just don't get tired of Georgian Bay. Painting for me is inner peace. The whole world can, if it's in chaos, it can be set aside. It lets me breathe and relax and connect to the land, which we need to protect for our children. So you're going to see a lot more Georgian Bay paintings because I never, ever tire of painting them. I love the smell of the oil. I love the textures of the oil, and I don't know what else to say. Except thank you for having me. Assembly in August 5th and 16th. I'm looking forward to that. Awesome. Some people see you there? Yeah.
And then we also have Jean Miller. Is Jean Miller here by any chance? Okay, I just didn't want to miss her. I didn't see her. She did the beautiful hair in the back. And so she does these beautiful sculptures from all sorts of recycled fabric. So she's using, incredible kind of materials, found materials, sweaters, and she puts them together kind of in these hardeners. She does actually give lessons. I think she was at the Midland Cultural Center giving lessons on sculpture. But again, just reusing recycled materials and sculpting from them. And so she gave us that one unique piece, and it's just really, I think, very special. And so I really appreciate her work and her connection to the land and the bay through the animals. So anyway, thanks. Thanks, Jane. We also have the work contributed by Kathy Morgan, who gave us some beautiful beadwork that's in the case. So you'll see the blue background for the water and the sky. And she titled it Sunrise, Sunset, and I suppose it's just because of your perspective. So just enjoying that sun energy at different times of the day. And then we also have the work of, and I'm sorry if I don't pronounce this 100%, Andre Canal? Canal. Is he here by any chance? No. Okay, I just don't want to miss him either. So he has done some beautiful, he's a sculptor and a painter. So he did the beautiful moose carving also in that far cabinet, along with 3 paintings. So you have the lighthouse at Bosala Island, I think it was Christian Island, and also just one of the landscapes. And so again, a really, really self-taught and an incredible artist who's doing lots of different work in different ways. So again, a big appreciation for Andre and Kathy. And then just going down here, my teacher list, we've got Maddie Webb, whose work is in the back display in a case. And Maddie, anyway, she's a very wonderful young person, just starting out, I think, her art journey as a career. And she was working tonight, so unfortunately couldn't be here. But she was raised with the Métis culture with a deep appreciation for hunting and harvesting and traditional medicines. And so she has some beautiful work there, taking wood and doing engravings. She's got beautiful blueberry-inspired beadwork, and so she tamped the hide. And the blueberries remind her of going blueberry picking with her grandmother. And so just within all that is kind of her family. She also has another pair of earrings there, and there's a little bit of fur tuft on it. And that's actually from a coyote that her grandfather had harvested. And so again, using those family connections, wanting to be not only nurturing kind of that relationship with the land, but being a steward of the land and all their relations. So anyway, I'm very, very grateful to have met Maddie, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of her work. And she's got a lot of energy and just a real passion for nature and Georgian Bay. So thanks, Maddie. All right, I also don't want to forget the work of Joe Gesso. So in the back case, you'll see this beautiful traditional kind of Métis flower pattern beadwork. So the Georgian Bay Métis Council got a grant and commissioned this piece, and you'll see their beautiful beadwork on the back and the front. And this is also one of the first pieces that will be in the permanent Drummond Island exhibit that is coming to the museum. So a very, very special piece, and it's excellent that we're beginning that journey. So thank you to the Georgian Museum. Greg, I don't know, did you want to say anything else about that piece? Or?
No, I think everybody take a good look at it. They'll see, I think that one, Joe had said he put about 900 hours into beading. And he only lost 3/4 of the
All right. Yeah, so that wasn't in the footnote, so that's good story to have. All right, and then, so I guess that brings us to three Metis sisters and my mother. So maybe I will start with the sisters, okay? So I'll start with my youngest sister, Suzette. So she's a very different painter. She paints in acrylics. And she worked on this for years, very, very slowly, meticulously. And this is where her heart is, and she wants you to kind of think of the waves and feel the breeze. And she entitled that, like, The Current's Cradle Deus Bay, so her home is where her heart is. And in the other case, she did some incredible beadwork. So she did study theater arts and design, and so she learned from lots of different places her beading technique. And so you can see that, and also she did the turtle for my mother's kind of, or maybe you'll say something about it, but for my mother's kind of regalia. And then it comes to my second youngest sister, or no, my second sister, so Colleen. So she's got a picture in the back, and that's just from a beach walk. But she really, really loved the wood. And as we said, like, our cousin was passing away. She was very sick with cancer, and so that for her was just a heart. So again, it was just that embrace from the Bay, giving her the courage, I guess, and healing as we were going on a difficult journey. So, so that's why she entitled that one Love. And then she has another one, I think just kind of in the back corner in the other room, and she kind of entitled that one The Double Diamond. And so if you've maybe walked on a certain beach, we used to walk to a certain point called the Double Diamond, so it was part of that walking journey that I think on a different day. And then she has one here that we look at the blue mountains across the bay, and so she just entitled that one Ode to the Group of Seven, because it reminded her of that. And then also just myself, I have a couple little ones. So the bay, like, every day, I just say it's like being in the best art gallery in the world. The sunsets, the sunrises are always so different every day, the waves, the colors. So that kind of inspired kind of wanting to think about what other people, or how they connected with Georgian Bay, because it's so beautiful and has so many different areas. And then also just, there was a rainbow one day, like end to end, so that was just kind of a really nice gift. And because you don't see those every day, so that was just another gift of the Bay, so very special. And then again, you can tell, I think, like Monica, like, I just love the sunsets, the sunrises. I will not get tired of it. I think this is my subject, and I found it. And so that is the three Metis sisters, and talked about the granddaughter in the pink skies. And I'll introduce you to my mom in a minute, but I just saw that Patty walked in, Jean Miller walked in, who is the sculptor. And so I wonder if you want to say just a little something about your sculpture.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I do sculptures that are made out of recyclable materials. So that one is all made out of t-shirts and fabric hardener. So I had fun doing it, and I love the herons, and once they mentioned Georgian Bay, I thought this is really cool. So so enjoy. It's all made out of, like I said, recyclable materials and fabric hardener. It'll go outside, stay outside forever and ever, year round, winter, summer, fall, just like birds. And hope you enjoy. Thank you.
I guess the elders are supposed to go first, but in this case, you're going last, Mom. All right, the last word. All right, so this is Chad, been around first, and okay, over to you. And she has the little tree there. Okay.
I gotta stand on this.
You want to stand? Okay.
Hi, je m'appelle Chad Hearns. Je viens de la rue Fox, ici à Penetanguishene. Ensuite, je demeurais à Toronto, j'ai demeuré au Québec, mais on a toujours un chalet ici à la plage, à la baie d'Aou. I'm very proud to be from Penetanguishene. I've lived at other places, but always my heart is here in Penetanguishene. I was very lucky to marry into the Dow family with my husband's Thomas Kearns. He's a Kearns, but his mom was a Dow. And where we have the cottage is the traditional place where I guess the first settler, the Dow settler, had his farm, and he always thought that, all that sand was of no use, but he tried to bring his cows down and they just couldn't get in there. And he did make a road slanting down the hill sideways so that they could roll the trimmed trees down the hill to the sawmill at the bottom. That was his. And then they'd take them by horses to the ice. And then in the spring, they would bring them across to Collingwood. Because already in the 1840s, Collingwood had been establishing itself as a shipbuilding. And they were using these trees. But now when he sold the land, he said to the developer, that was his other ancestor that sold the land, not to cut those trees. The people who had lots on the beach were to keep the big pines. And the big pines are so important. So they were white pine and red pine. And in the most, a lot of them are still standing. But of course time is taking them also. The sand. Is that too much? Well, there's a sunset on the same lake. My friend on Nottawasaga Bay, well, Doe's Bay is part of Nottawasaga Bay, part of Georgian Bay, the big picture, and my friend Kathy said, well, I miss it so much now, because just before COVID, they sold the cottage. They thought it was too much for them. But she says, I miss and I always remember the Georgian Bay sunsets and sunrises. So that's why she did that beadwork, just for the show, because she loves the Georgian Bay. And myself, Lorley wanted me to bring well, I think my painting would have covered the area all the back seat anyhow, and have to take down. So I said, no, I chose the smallest one because it means a lot to me. It's just a tree along the shore. And all the shores in Georgian Bay are really, some seem the same that you can't tell them apart, but yet the bay is so big that the shoreline changes completely as you go along. So you may have a lot of sand and grasses and trees in the background where there aren't any cottages. And other places, it's just like a wild scape, especially the islands. The islands, I think, and we have a lot of great examples here, it captures your mind, it stays in your heart. The trees, the sway, the weather, the clouds, and I think I'm glad I chose a small one because it was easy to bring and also easy to remember that there's such a variety around this Georgian Bay. There's the swamps off the bay, they're the wetlands rather, as we like to call them today, and there's the rocky shores and the boulder shores, like Thunder Bay Beach. Like that is all boulders. On one side of the bay, it's like boulders, like they're giant boulders. So I hope you'll be able to enjoy the collection and get inspired to go out and visit more of the shores of Georgian Bay, more of the land, and even become artists. Everyone can do it. You can find a medium that you would enjoy, so enjoy art, and then become an artist. That would be my word to you. You'll enjoy art even more. Merci.
That's great. All right, so I'm through my teacher list. Hopefully I did not forget anyone. I think I did good. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming. I'm so proud of all these incredible Métis artists. I'm so grateful that we're here in this room. Thank you, Nicole, for kind of creating this space to story our contemporary stories of Georgian Bay and connections to each other and through art and all that beautiful positivity. It's certainly a gift to celebrate, and hopefully we can keep mingling the rest of the night here. And thank you all for coming. Chimigwich and Marcy, and thanks.
Merci for watching. We hope if you were unable to attend the event, you got a little bit of a snippet of what to expect when you visit Penetanguishene's Centennial Museum. If you'd like to go visit this exhibit in person, it runs until September 5th at the Penetanguishene Centennial Museum. While we were at the exhibit, we were able to have a one-on-one conversation with Laura Lee Kearns about the importance of this exhibit and why she started it.
Well, I think it's just so important that we celebrate our heritage. You know, we are a community, we've been here for a long time, and you know, around those kitchen tables in LaFontaine and in Penetang and all our relations, and just having, you know, these beautiful summer visits, because my parents, like a lot of kids from small rural areas, you know, they graduated and they went to Toronto to work. And so we would come back to visit, you know, grandparents and family in the summertime. And so we were very lucky to have a place to come and to have memories around Georgian Bay and the beach. And it just really shaped me and my imagination. And it's something so integral to my heart. And so anywhere I've lived, I've always thought of the Bay. And, you know, my art focuses on that. I have two sisters who also do art. Their focus is of the art is also the Bay. My daughter loves the Bay, and so, you know, here we are, several generations just loving this area. So, you know, like the other experience I had with the museum, which was connecting with our ancestors, a photo voice project on Drummond Island, you know, that started with my family. Like my family went to Drummond Island and St. Joseph's Island and Mackinac Island with my pair back in the 50s, and they went with like 2 cousins in cars, right? And so in 2019, we went 2 buses of, you know, family, but also extended family and community members to do that. And so the same thing with the art, it kind of starts with our family, and then to just meet so many incredible people who also share this love and passion of the Bay is really important. And we just wanted to, again, just have a really important, I guess, a time and space to kind of celebrate Métis and Métis presence in the community, and also just the gifts that we share. Like, we're a contemporary people, we have contemporary connections to the land, to each other, and it nourishes our spirit, and all these connections also nourish us. So I just think it's really important to celebrate Métis, being connected to this community, you know, continuing to kind of weave our threads together, and you know, coming back. And so some of us live here permanently, some of us kind of travel back and forth, but it's always in our hearts. And it's just, you know, right now with the state of the world too, it's just really important, I think, to kind of connect on what is so important and what's so vital. And the water is just so important for everyone. It gives us life and sustenance, and without this beautiful water and clean water, you know, not only us, but all our relations won't kind of survive. So, you know, celebrating the beauty, but also the importance of it and that connection to land, and just meeting so many people who have, you know, family Métis stories to share, and it's just a really positive thing, I think, to be doing, and really hopeful, I think.
We were also able to talk to our recently elected PCMNO Region 7 rep, Greg Garrett, who calls Penetanguishene home. He was able to tell us the importance of this work.
We're nearing the 200-year anniversary of the Drummond Island migration,
in 2028. And that commemorative time is going to raise the awareness in our community. And as Louis Rail said, our people will sleep for 100 years, and it'll be the artisans that awaken them. And I think this is a very good story to be told with the Métis art. I'm proud of the Penetanguishene Museum for allowing this opportunity. The Couche Art Council for organizing the provincial Métis Art Council that Patty Boulanger is part of in our community. And it all represents, it is really showing the hidden gems in our community. As Laura Lee had mentioned, the vest that's in the background was one of the first permanent pieces of what we hope to become a Drummond Island exhibit. And not just a Drummond Island exhibit, but enhanced with artisan pieces all around it, and tells the story of a contemporary Métis community, their love of their culture, the love of the art, the closeness of the community, and things that draw us all together. Again, this is a fine example of that.
As well as speaking to Laura Lee Kearns and Greg Garrett, we were able to talk to one of the artists, Teresa Lafreniere Fama, about her quilting series that expresses not only the love of Georgian Bay, but her home of Thunder Bay Beach.
So first of all, it actually just starts with a plain piece of fabric, white fabric. Then I sketch the scene. After I've sketched the scene, I use what are called Inktense pencils, and they look like regular coloring pencils, and you just color it very lightly, and then you apply a fabric medium over top, which then it turns it into ink, and it becomes permanent. So once it's dried, then you iron it, and it's actually permanent. It can be washed, and it'll stay. I created this one specifically for this exhibit because it represented what this exhibit was about, which is Georgian Bay, land and water, right? I started with the queen-size quilts, but then I met with the quilt appraiser, and she said, "Why are you making them so big?" And I said, "Because they're quilts and they're meant to be on a bed." And she went, "You need to start making them smaller. You need to make wall art quilts, because not everybody will want a full-size quilt, and if you want to sell them, and they will also become more valuable than even a large one." I'm actually making a series of Thunder Beach quilts, which is where I grew up, and it started because of the memories that I had, right? And I wanted the memories to live on forever. I wanted them to be passed down to my descendants because they are so important. They shouldn't be forgotten. I was never never perceived myself as a storyteller, but this is my way of telling a story, right? Thunder Bay Beach is a place like no other, and really, it's here, right? I don't know. There's so much I could say, but I don't even know where to start. So let's start with the first quilt I made. The first story quilt I made was probably about 12 or 13 scenes of Thunder Bay Beach of my favorite memories. And some of them are really funny, and others are very touching. And after I finished that, and it's a queen-size quilt. After I finished it, I started showing people, and everybody wanted to know the story behind each block. And everybody was touched by them, and people started saying, "You know what? You should write a book." And I'm going, "Me write a book? Are you kidding?" But people kept saying that. So I said to my husband one morning, I said, "You think I should write a book?" And he goes, "Why not? Give it a shot." And I did. I self-published, and I launched my book last summer in August, and I launched it in Thunder Bay Beach. Almost 200 people showed up. It blew my mind. My book is now available, Georgian Bay Books in Midland. It is available at the museum in the Midland Museum as well, Harmonia Museum. The Aurelia Museum actually carries it as well. And I carry it. I wish I had my other little quilt to show you. On the quilt, I actually painted two little piglets but the real story took place with 3 little piglets, for real. We raised chickens and we raised pigs. So one day during a baseball tournament across the road from our house, 3 little piglets actually dug a hole underneath the fence. They ran into the churchyard instead of in the bush behind it, which is where they usually run to. So all the players threw down their bats and gloves and started chasing these 3 little piglets. They caught them all, they brought them home, and they said to my mom and dad, best ball game we've ever had, right? So that's a story that needs to be shared, right? So I don't only paint the scene, but the memories, right? So on July 20th, I'm going to be at Thunder Beach Clubhouse, and I'm going to be one of the authors there, and I'm going to have my 2 full-size quilts and all my small quilts that I've made from my series, except these 3, because these 3 are staying here. And I'm also going to be at the AGA, and my books are going to be available at both locations as well, at the AGA in August as well.
Whether you're from the historic Georgian Bay Métis community or a guest from Region 5 like myself, I encourage you to go out and learn more about Georgian Bay and its importance to the Métis who now call Penetanguishene home. These descendants from Drummond Island are an integral part of Region 7, and it is important that we celebrate the waters that have sustained this community for almost 200 years. Merci for watching, and we'll see you down the river.